Okay. So we're gonna go over how fat is burned. Is what I'm essentially gonna be explaining to you. Has been my experience, and I've done this a few times. I actually so we'll just get into it. No backstory. Fat is burned, right? The way that fat is burned is through using it thermically. We have to burn fat. Now, a lot of times, if any of you have been like me and done this, you fast, right? So you do some fasting, and then you do get to this point where you just can't fast anymore. And what is essentially happening is your body is running out of this thing that it needs, that the nervous system in particular, the nervous system is running out of electrolytes. What these are is something that he used to have a saying called, a man's not worth his weight in salt. It's because the biggest electrolyte you don't need food. You do need water, but if you're not going to have food, you must have water and sodium, salt. You must have salt. A man's not worth his weight in salt. Sodium, I'm not going to pretend to spell potassium like I know how to. I don't. Magnesiums. There it is. It's a cium, right? Magnesium, calcium. Oh my gosh, my fingers and my typing is terrible. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. These are some of the biggest electrolytes. It's really these first three that I'm going to focus on: sodium, potassium, and magnesium, because these are the ones that you really can't do anything without. So you need sodium, you need potassium, and you need magnesium, because ATP is the powerhouse of the cell, and the way that electricity is generated in the body is because of this thing called a sodium potassium pump. And it's essentially how ions get from the inside of the cell membrane to the outside, and from the outside of the cell membrane to the inside. This little bit of ion exchanging helps generate a charge. It generates a charge. So you can fast, but be sure that if you're cutting carbohydrates, you're going to pee a lot of water. You're going to lose quite a bit of water, and it'll seem like you've lost weight. But essentially what it is you're now down to a metabolic spot where you can actually start to make the metabolic shift of fat loss. Because fat loss and weight loss requires a metabolic shift. Your blood sugar will drop. It'll go down, which is good. And then you'll begin to pull you'll begin to pull, I don't want to say sugar, but you'll begin to pull energy from your fat cells and from your liver storage. You'll burn the extra glycogen or glucose. I'm not a rocket scientist, but you'll be pulling it from your liver storage, and then you'll be feeling like you're out of energy. But what it is you're mostly in a more slow state. Your mental cognition will clear up and get slow. It'll feel slower, but you'll be more calm, but you will have a lot faster thinking. Your synapses will fire faster. It almost can be described as a mental euphoria when you are burning ketones. So once you're actually burning ketones, it can feel like a euphoria. What's going on is you're making a metabolic shift as an organism with a metabolism. and now you're beginning to metabolize the fat off your body. And so in order to get through to this state and to continue to maintain that lifestyle, is you have to get your electrolyte, which is sodium, potassium, magnesium. The potassium and magnesium and calcium you get from dark cruciferous vegetables. The sodium can be just easy as, for me, I've literally eaten pinches of salt. And that has taken off the fatigue and the cold sweats. You might get to a point, the first time I ever did this type of, I would call it body experimentation, but it's because it's trial and error, and it's for each one of us to figure out on our own journey, on our own life path, how it works for us. And we don't all get as far down the pathways as other people. And sometimes we'll make excuses or say, I use this for other people because maybe they'll never get to where I understand, and the same goes for what they understand for me. But I broke my spine. My son was born with some endocrine system problems, and at the time I was learning about the nervous system, and so Googling and getting familiarized with the endocrine system, which is your hormone system, I realized that that's the driving system. The hormones, the cascade, the blood flow is how your hormones travel. When you're hangry, that's a hormone. When you're thirsty, when you're all these different things, when you're happy, when you're sad, these are just all hormonal expressions. And most of it comes through biochemistry in your gut bacteria. Your gut nutrition is functional medicine. What you put in your mouth ultimately turns the microbes in your stomach, which literally affect you more than any thinking you can do. You can't, there's a saying that goes, the type of thinking that created these problems for me is not the type of thinking this type of thinking can fix. So it's essentially like the thinking that brought you this far isn't going to be the answer or the solution. It's not going to be that thinking that gets you out of this. Most of this, what happens is you've forgotten that as a child you used to have to play, you used to have to run the mile, you used to have to do these physical things. And so your biochemistry and your metabolism was kept turning for you. And now that you've been out chasing money and doing these other things, you've forgotten, and you thought that, well, I guess I don't have to do those exercise type of things. But now you might be in a place where you're suffering these consequences of not doing them. And it could be why this type of information is somehow in a weird way appealing when you hear it. So for me, it's just, I guess, what I'm kind of called for and what I understand. It's quite simple. It's not simple for me, but apparently it's simpler for me than for most people that are around me. So, all right, so the nervous system. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. So you get that through, I put salt on red meats. I love red meats. I eat a higher fat diet sometimes. Fasting is a great one that I use. I typically don't even ever eat breakfast. I drink coffee almost all day long. But my coffee is legitimately bean water. It is black coffee. Okay, so don't think that your coffee and my coffee are the same, because it's not, and we're not. Okay, bean water. That is healthy. That is fine. Okay, if you're dealing with adrenaline fatigue where your kidneys are completely taxed out, your adrenal glands, your cortisol, which is stress. Stress is cortisol. It's a hormone. It has a name. Then you need some vegetables. You need to eat some vegetables because you've taxed your central nervous system to the point to where it won't fire correctly, and you have a physical problem. Okay, this isn't, you can't outthink your thinking because you got so much thinking. That's not the issue. The issue is you need to relax. You need less thinking. A lot of this can be achieved through salty, buttery vegetables. So fat is burned by your habits. Your habits. That is how you burn fat. Your fat is on your body from habits, and the way that you get the fat off your body is through habits. So habits are a thing that you can't not do. And what I mean by not do is, and the way that I understand this and have come to understand this is from, there used to be saying for cigarette smokers, and maybe you've heard this, but it goes, basically cigarette smoking is an oral fixation. It satisfies you as an oral habit, something with your hands in your mouth. Maybe it's because we're like primates, and there's a weird hand-mouth type of a thing there for us. I don't know. But habits have to be swapped for a new habit, a different habit. You have to take a habit and swap it out for another habit, a new habit, a different habit. Okay, rabbit? Like Winnie the Pooh and shit right here. So the habit, whatever pizza habit, cheeseburger habit, McChicken and large fry habit, spicy McChicken and large fry habit. Peep game. Shout out to all my real ones out there. Them McChickens. Oof. They be hitting different. So you don't want to eat seed oils. French fries are not healthy because the potato thing, right? You can eat a potato, but bake it at home. Do a baked potato at home. Once you take the potato and you fry it in a seed oil, you fry it in bacon oil. It's not going to taste as good, and it's going to smell like bacon, and it's going to be like gross. You're not going to like it. But at least your body won't be dying from cardiovascular disease, because seed oils are straight dangerous for the tubing and the soft tissues and your heart and your cardiovascular function or failure. Okay, let's get this on here. Seed oils, okay, plus heart equal cardiovascular. So this is what most of us die from. If you look up statistics, murders, cancer, like everything combined, we all almost always in the West die of cardiovascular disease because we're eating these daggum seed oils. If you're going to cook with an oil at home, I cook with Kerrygold butter. And if I need to cook something very hot, beyond 400 degrees, 500 degrees, I like to like fry. You can fry in avocado oil, okay? Avocado oil has a higher smoke point. The reason that we like these seed oils is because they have high smoke points and they taste amazing. But as far as your heart health, and boy, they are so no way, broque, dangerous sante. More dangerous than a daggum croissante. And I love croissants. So, thermal. Let's talk thermal. You're using the fat on your body for you're a thermal machine. Your organism with the metabolism, you're a thermal machine. That's essentially what's going on in this whole topic of conversation. This is about thermal activity on your muscle, your heart, your pancreas, liver, kidney, adrenal glands, thyroid, lungs, like all these different various organisms. Your gut mucosal layer, if you've never heard of gut mucus, or gut health, microbiome, these are honestly the best ways to start thinking about it. I learned all this stuff because I grew plants. So I grew hydroponic tomatoes. And I learned a lot about chemistry with the hydroponics. The basis of chemistry, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, are the food macronutrients of a plant and its roots. I thought it was made the most sense to go from hydroponics to back to soil. And I discovered super soils and how biochemistry works. So basically, it's how biology, microbiology, bacteria and fungus, how biology creates the chemistry that I was purchasing at the plant store. Because you get tired of spending money on fertilizers and stuff, and it's like, why am I doing this? Like, you're supposed to be able to just grow for free, right? Like banana peels and kitchen scraps. Well, you can. You absolutely can. What's crazy about it is it tastes better. It doesn't grow as crazy fast, but the stuff that grows fast tastes gross. The stuff that grows with biochemistry, super soils, tastes amazing. It tastes sweet. You can pour honey on the dirt. I've poured Mountain Dew on plant roots. And sugar in, sugar out, baby. Sugar in, sugar out. You know what I'm saying? My my flowers that I was growing legally. Everything was legal. You know, it's all personal use, recreation, and it was all within the standard of what you're supposed to and allowed to grow. They were amazing. Friends loved it, and it was a great experience. But had my son, and I didn't want him in that environment or crawling around in it or nothing like that. So it was fun to have my girls and all that stuff. But then my son came along, couldn't keep growing that. But what essentially brought me to this is I realized that I heard the word macronutrients before, and I heard it in regards to food and health and stuff. And it tripped me out because I was like, oh, I have macros. And then I, parallel to learning about plants, started to learn about fats, carbs, proteins. They're always in that order. They're never in any other order. If somebody says the macronutrients, and it's not in that order, you best believe that they're not reading nutrition labels. Because if they read a nutrition label, they wouldn't say it in the improper order. So basically, we are thermal machines. Okay, let's come back to this. We use food thermically. We use nutrition as well. So don't just get it in as a calories in, calories out. But once you can understand calories in, calories out, also get some dang vegetables. Calories in, calories out, create your caloric deficit. You know, get your electrolytes on so that you can lower carbs and still feel good and metabolize the fat off your body. But you'll also get to a point to where I would hope you would look at your gut health. Because once you actually start looking into your endocrine system and your gut microbiome, functional medicine is what they call it, dietitians, if you're in school, personally, if I was in school today and I had to pick something, I would become a dietitian. I would either become a dietitian or, I mean, a chiropractor's, I like that too, but in all reality, we need some dietitian stuff, and there's such a huge market for it. A lot of people they don't realize that they need it. They don't realize what's going on and what's going wrong. But dietitian, and all it is observing how macronutrients make you feel, the different ratios. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come down here, and we're going to pretend to take a nutrition label. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do this. Oops. So, okay, so I was going to start talking off because I came back from a run when I started this, about talking about sweat and stuff. So this was my tab. Let's let's look up Rice Krispies. I keep having this on my mind. Rice Krispie nutrition label. Now, this is not a great one. What this is going to make you do, it's going to make you so sick in 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It's going to make you zing to the top of the ceiling, and then it's going to slam you hard down through the floor. It's probably going to make you sleepy and tired afterwards because your insulin goes up so that you can absorb all that extra blood sugar and store it. And high insulin, boom, you're tired. Insulin spike, insulin comes from the pancreas, boom, you're tired. Hard on your digestive tract. So we'll look at, I'm going to assume that this is Rice Krispies. So we can see right here we have the fat, 0 grams of fat. That wouldn't be right because there's butter. When you make these things at home, I mean, you have to add butter, I feel like, but we'll go. Carbs is 36 right here. Okay, so we'll take 36 times 4. 30 times 4 is 120. 6 times 4 is 24. 120 plus 24. So it's 144 of the 150 calories. So we have out of 150 calories in one serving, out of 150 calories, oh, this is the cereal Rice Krispie. Out of 150 calories, 144 are straight up carbohydrates, which is fine. Let me explain why you might want to reconsider eating this food, okay? There's protein is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So you have 144 plus 12 gives you roughly that 150 calories, okay? So that's how you do the math. Fat times 9. Whatever this gram would be, 1 gram would be 1 times 9 equals 9 calories from the fat macro. 36 times 4 is 144 from the carbohydrate macro. And then you add those three together and you should get the total serving. What this gives you is a visual representation or an idea of, okay, this is half a carbohydrate macro. This thing is going to make me hungry. In 1 hour, I'm going to be sleepy. Tomorrow, I will be hungrier than I would normally be because these things will make your ghrelin levels increase. When you're eating a higher carbohydrate diet, best believe you're going to be hungrier than somebody like me who's not eating a high carbohydrate diet. My hormones are very stable. I am stable. They're not swinging me up and slamming me down and then the next day producing more ghrelin because I ate a bunch of carbs. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you observe it and you feel like it's a problem, you should educate yourself so you can make different decisions. That's what that whole intuition's about. So, essentially, that's how you would do that. I'm not going to increase those there. But you want to try to avoid things that are going to make you more hungry. And you want to try to eat things that taste good. Fats taste amazing. Bacon is the best thing. Once you get fat adapted, bacon, when it's cooking, smells like candy. It's probably the weirdest thing. Unless you've experienced it, then you know. But let me tell you what. When you know something, you can't unknow it. And that's the best part about this whole life experience, is that people are trying to share something with you, and if you're interested in what they're trying to explain, there's something there for you in that. And I hope that helps. Keep in mind that this is all a habits problem, and a lot of it is your tongue. You need to break your tongue. You need to break the tongue. You can do some fasting, skip a meal, and if you can do that, take some salt, some sodium. Keep your electrolytes going so that you can continue to metabolize the fat off your body. And that's how fat is burned, is through metabolizing those triglycerides. and maintaining nervous system strength. No cold sweats, no fatigues, a little bit of fasting salt, some salty buttery vegetables. You can I've trucked for weeks on literally just that. Okay? Get some bone broth also. Some good bone broth. If you can actually fast like I'm talking about, you probably need some bone broth in there. And there's a little bit of sodium in that bone broth too, so it's a nice little extra perk. All right, hope that helps. Peace.